Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats.
I've seen that. I have seen that.
The show is about to begin.
This is a bunch of bullshit.
The bar is open. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I hope you guys are surprised. This is an extra episode of the Titty and Shiner Show. We're going to call it episode 67 anyways, but we kind of thought because of what's going on in the world, it would be a good idea. My name's Big Titty, and this was not my idea.
No? This was a collective idea.
Yeah, it was Donnie's idea, believe it or not.
Well, there you have. Well, it kind of snowballed because there was Donnie's idea, and then we got some DMs, people asking us, or actually they were stating that it was going to feel like a really long time until next Thursday when we released another episode, and we started kicking the can around, and we came up with the idea that during this time, we got a little extra time on our hands, and there's no reason in the world we shouldn't record another episode.
Yeah, Donnie checked the fan mail, and then he just sent us an email that said, "Your thoughts?" ? And we were both like, "Great idea."
Yeah, let's do it.
So yeah, that's what we are doing.
Who are you again, my man?
My name's Big Titty, and I'm doing okay considering what's going on with this. Who are you?
My name would be Shiner. I'm still sitting in Nevada Pure Ale, so my life is good, bud. I mean,
as long as you're staying home and staying safe and staying healthy, that's all that matters. I realize you had to get a little bit of a tune-up, and we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Okay.
But yeah, everything's okay at my place. Everything's okay at your place. I'm at the studio with Donnie because Donnie just lives a couple of miles down the road. Shiner, however, he's at the photography studio at Camp Shiner. And
I am actually remoting in, yeah.
Yeah, he's remoting in from Camp Shiner, and I hope the audio, if it does sound kind of crappy a little bit, I apologize. We're trying to do the best we can with the remotes. And we even have a TV station in Tulsa that, I don't know if you noticed Channel 2, the NBC station. A lot of the reporting from the newscasters it's done from home.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I actually was up last night and before everything cracked off, and Jimmy Fallon is doing a little segment on the Tonight Show that he's doing it from home. So it's kind of cool to see, like, you know. Oh, well, and I also saw there's a lot of musical artists that are performing sets from their house and putting it up on IG Live and Facebook Live, and so people are putting stuff out there, which actually influenced our decision to do this. People are putting some content out there to help people get through this time because everybody, I mean, we've been doing this a number of days. Everybody's getting bored. They're looking for stuff to do and listen to and watch, and I think that's great that creators are putting stuff out there to help people through this time that we're currently going through in this country.
Well, I personally want to apologize to everybody out there because about 10 days ago we recorded a podcast, and we didn't really seem to have much of a care in the world. This was all half propaganda, blah, 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 and then shit got real.
Yeah, it's funny. We dropped that podcast, and probably 24 to 48 hours after that dropped, just like you said, it got very legit. Yeah. And we were like, oh, I'm kind of kicking myself over that one, and it's a pretty serious deal. Well, actually, there's no kind of serious or pretty serious about it. It's a very serious.
Well, you know, the cases that are coming from just Tulsa, where we're located, it's community born now. There's people that have it that have not been on a trip and have not left the state.
Which is a great way to define community spread. I mean, that's a great definition of it. There's people that have not left. We had the first death in Tulsa, and the guy was actually part of a landscaping crew.
Well, and he was a pastor.
And he was also a pastor of, I think, Episcopalian church, wasn't he?
Episcopal.
Yeah, Episcopal church.
Yeah.
And he had not traveled. And that shows you right there that this is a community spread virus at this point. And from what doctors say, when it reaches that point, that's when it blows up.
Well, you know, New York now has over 10,000 cases.
I saw that. I also saw Connecticut, New York, or maybe Illinois is another state, and California. California is on stay in place. I mean,
California.
That's a big move. Well, and you guys, I mean, if anybody out there is not taking this serious, you guys need to spend some time and understand that if you go someplace in public and you're exposed to it, there are people in the world that will carry this virus and never show a symptom. There's a lot of people that catch this, and the way this works is you don't show a symptom to 5 to 7 days.
Well, if you're not taking it serious at this point, I don't care who you are. If you're not taking it serious at this point, you go eat a dick.
Exactly.
Seriously.
This is I have a son that's in the millennial age group, and he has been at my house recently, and he kind of voiced his opinion on it. And that is what scares me, because as people continue to run around like every day, he actually made the statement, said a virus doesn't mean that we don't live our life as we normally do. That's exactly what it means. Normal life is on hold right now. So if you guys aren't doing that, we strongly urge you to do that. Hunker down with your families and keep everybody safe, man. We got 2 kids in Oklahoma that are 4 years old that have it. That is a super sad. Not that older people are any less important, but that's super sad to know that kids are going to go through this.
Well, it's not only millennials, man. There's some under 50 people out there
that are being retarded.
They are.
I mean,
and they quit being idiots, okay? You guys are going to be the reason that punches my card or punches Shiner's card.
Yeah, people are going to die because if you don't get this.
You know, kind of something just a little bit off the cuff here. You remember watching the movie The Purge?
Yeah, have you seen that?
Yeah, did you ever look at the date down in the right-hand corner of the video that was being recorded?
Isn't the date tomorrow?
3/21/20.
Yeah.
That's today.
That's today.
That's today. And it is almost dark.
It's weird how things come to fruition, man. I mean,
but just in case, I'm loaded.
Better safe than sorry.
The AR's loaded. The 40's loaded. And here in a little while, I'm probably going to get loaded. Speaking of loaded.
Yeah, we got a surprise up our sleeve for everybody listening.
Yeah, man, this is about as cool as a loaded baked potato. If you're fat, you'll get that. But in the studio with me, as always, is Mr. Donnie Smith. But sitting right next to me, in front of a microphone, is Mr. Donnie Smith. Donnie, for the first time, say hi to your people.
That's right. How y'all doing?
Oh, there we go. There's Donnie Smith.
Joe Dirt Ass.
If you guys don't understand how serious this pandemic is, we actually gave Donnie a microphone and let him take a chair and set it down in front of it. And we're going to let Donnie chime in on this episode of the podcast.
Actually, if he does well in this episode, we might include him on future ones. Who knows?
Well, the jury's out, man. The jury's out.
But, yeah, if y'all are out there running amok and not washing your hands and thinking everything's going to go away, you know,
shut it down.
If you're a friend of mine, don't come by. Don't call. I don't want to talk to you.
I'm disappointed in you.
And you can eat a dick, too.
Well, here's how I was kind of putting this in perspective earlier when I was thinking about this. You and I, we have busy schedules, and we always connect midweek for the podcast.
Right.
But when we do have time that it jives, we love to spend time together. And just with the way things are with this pandemic, each of us have a lot more extra time than we normally do. And we are still not capitalizing on that and hanging out actually together. I mean, this is a prime example.
Right.
And doing our thing together, I mean, we're doing what we need to for society around us, and we're still hunkering down. And as much as I'd love to hang out with, like, it's killing me that I'm not in studio with you and Donnie tonight.
Well, that's okay. We get it. And, I need your lungs to be healthy. As a matter of fact, what I was kind of talking about earlier that I would refer to a little later on the podcast, Shiner had to get his lungs tuned up again. But this time it was kind of special, wasn't it, Shiner?
It was. If I could have sat down and scripted out a 911 call, I would have done it this way. And there's definitely I call 911 so frequent that there's definitely a group of people that know me when they show up at the house. They load me up. They take me to the ER. More times than not, how this happens, which I'm going to explain this for Beans purposes because I don't know how things happen across the pond. But the fire department shows up with medics. There's a truck that shows up with a couple of them. There'll be a medic and an EMT. I know those guys fairly well. One of them that showed up last night, I know him extremely well. And the funny thing is, when I called 911 and they hit the door, they opened the door to my house and stayed there. And then they asked me a series of questions. If I've traveled, if I have a cough, if I have a fever, if I have diarrhea. And once I was like, no, they came on in. And then IMSA, which is our local ambulance service, they showed up. The crew that showed up, and you guys got to understand that during this time, the last place that I want to be, which sounds ironic, is the emergency room, because there is a lot of people showing up there. So my chances of being in contact with somebody that's going to expose me to this goes way up if I go to the emergency room. The medic that came in the door, he looked at me, and the first thing he said is, "Do you want to go to the hospital?" And I said, "No, I don't." And by this time, the guys from fire department had explained to him, hey, this guy used to be a paramedic. He knows his asthma really well. He can tell you how to fix him. And they asked me, they said, okay, when you hit the ER, what happens and what do they do to fix you? And I told them, they said, hey, we got all that stuff on the truck. We can fix you at your dining room table. And I said, okay, let's make that happen.
My God.
And they did, which probably put those guys, considered protocols and their policies, probably put them in a very precarious spot. But they did what was best for me, considering the pre-existing conditions that I have with this virus in mind. Right. So I know that we got listeners from IMSA, and if you guys that showed up in my house are listening to this, thank you so much, because you probably saved me from God knows what. And I appreciate the professionalism that you guys showed.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I'm waving to them right now from the studio. Hopefully they see me.
Yeah. You guys, that was a solid move, man. A very solid move, and I pray to God it didn't get you in a jam. But, man, that was making a decision in the moment based on your surroundings. That was nothing but professional, and I greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, not having to get around COVID-19 Central.
Mm-hmm. Which, my life is kind of weird because I have the nurse.
Right.
And the nurse actually went to Oklahoma City and worked for 2 days and called me or texted me the first night. We had a couple conversations. She's a critical care nurse, so she works a lot of shifts in the ER and the ICU. She was actually working a segment of the hospital that is now named the COVID unit.
Of course it is.
Which I told her, hey, can we code name that? Can we dress that up and call that Disneyland? Because that sounds too ominous with you working in the...
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's very ominous. And, Titty and I talked before we started recording. We don't want to beat this like a dead horse. But, there's definitely precautions, man. And with her having that job and just coming home, we have to basically decontaminate everything before she can come in the house. I mean, I do say a prayer every night because the chances of her being exposed to this are extremely high. I mean, it's going to happen at some point.
Right.
And, she does everything and then some that she can think of, so I'm not exposed to it. And I'm very grateful for that. I'm very lucky to have somebody around my life that takes those precautions and tries to keep me safe from it. That's I don't really want to go down the COVID-19 thing tonight. I want people to listen to us and have a little break from it.
Yeah, and what a great segment. How do you take a break from COVID?
Yeah, what do you do?
Well, there's a lot of stuff that you can do, actually. I mean, in a ton of stuff. I kind of wrote this down earlier, ways to not go apeshit during this crisis. I call it a crisis because it's a crisis.
That's probably the best way. I mean, yeah. It's a worldwide crisis.
But my thing was, okay, you don't have anything to do. There's actually a ton of things that you can do.
Thank you.
A ton of things you can do. First off, okay, number one, and this is just not in any order, you make it what you make it, but start a project or finish one that you already started. You're going to be home.
Good one, man.
Yeah, you're going to be home. You're going to be there. If you got some woodworking equipment, go woodwork. If you need to get out and rake the yard, get out and rake the yard. Get some fresh air. Don't put stuff off now that you have time to do it. Get out there and do it. There's lots of classes that you can take on the YouTube. Lots of classes. Okay. I saw one that taught basic. When I say basic cooking, I'm talking basic cooking, right? Like how to make a hamburger.
Oh, so we're not talking even like culinary chaos 101.
No.
We're talking